I think maybe we should start with, do you have a market? Anyone can answer. Anyone can jump in.
I didn't think I had a market, but I guess just, the whole view on graffiti and street art has crossed the point where it's gotten to the point where there is somebody that is like somebody else, like that forever happens where you see somebody's work and, oh, that looks great, that looks like this other artist or whatever. But to answer the question, yeah, it happened kind of like by accident, because it's like you end up just doing what you like to do. Like I like to make masks and I like to do paintings and stuff like that. So that market comes along and it's always the people that collect masks or collect street art, or somebody that is trying to, it becomes kind of like a trading cards, like baseball. Oh, I want to get a duel, I want to get a ManOne, I want to get a skis. Whether if it's local or in the state of Texas, US, I want to go international and collect like a dime one, or you know what I'm saying. And the market that draws into me is always the ones that collect the African masks or the tribal masks and stuff like that.
Do they find you or do you find them?
They usually find me. Yeah, I get a lot of references that people like collect this or collect that, and not only through my work, but also through like being an established artist in Houston. And if you are a newcomer to the city and are looking to collect art, I don't know, for some reason it's always the transplants that want to collect local artists, that are like, oh, I want to get familiar with the active artists in that city that they want to collect.
I guess I would say like now there's a market, and when I first started to write on things, I don't think that I was thinking of a market. I mean, I know for a fact I wasn't thinking, because I wasn't thinking of like selling anything, or like there being anything that anyone could buy or purchase. Or, like if anything, I was just gonna give people something I wrote on or something at first,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what made the realization of there being a market is like. Maybe to start being aware that there was like fans, if you call them that there was like people that were like that they took it on their own to like go out and take pictures of my work, or to go out and then I think when I realized that there was like kind of that like following, and that like somewhat of them wanting, like demanding to see the work, I guess, in a way, or wanting to find it or flick it, that then like there was a realization of like, oh, I can take this tag that is on the street or is on the stop sign or is on this wall and like transfer it to like apparel, clothing, let's say a shirt, and then somebody who is a fan or a supporter is gonna then pay the $20 or $25 to wear this brand. So,
Did you realize when you became a brand, or?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't really think that like whenever I was first writing under verbs, I really don't think that I thought of like, oh, I'm gonna like. I was just like, oh, I just want my name to be on everything, and I just want. And I got off on the fact too that like people would talk about it or be like, oh damn, meet verb and look at this, and I was like, all right. But it wasn't until like the change of like doing dual, which got me into like repasting and creating posters, then created like an actual tangible. Like you couldn't go take the wall and like take the wall home with you. I mean, I guess you could. Banksy gets
now they're doing it.
Yeah, but like at that time, no one's gonna go take the wall or the billboard that we painted or the whatever it was. All that you could have would be a photo of it. But then when there's like a poster that's done with it, or like I'm saying, like just the tag, the simple tag on a T-shirt or a hoodie, and like then there's a demand for it, and then that let me be aware that there's a market for basically. People that support that type of artist.
How about for you?
I think I have a different background in talking about creating a market and stuff than a lot of other artists, and I don't know why, but when I was 16, I started doing graffiti. and I just was like, this is it. This is all I want to do. I just want to paint for the rest of my life, you know? Like, I just want to paint graffiti for the rest of my life. And that, like, making that statement kind of made me think of like, okay, well, if I'm going to paint graffiti for the rest of my life, how am I going to make money? How are they going to pay me? And yeah, at the time, no one was buying canvases. There was, you were just painting walls. So I remember one time early on, like within months of me starting to paint, some guy gave me $50 to paint his garage. And I was like, oh damn, if this guy gives me 50, then maybe someone else will give me 75, maybe someone else will give me 100. So right away, my wheels started turning like, this could be a business, you know? And so I would tell my friends, like, hey, let's, you know, we were all like 17 or whatever. Hey, let's, you know, I know we're doing this and this and that, but let's try to, when we get a wall, let's not just ask for permission, let's ask to get paid. That was unheard of. People always wanted to get free walls, or permission walls, but no one ever even asked for paint usually. It's just like, just give me the wall, I just want the wall. So, you know, I started thinking like that. I don't know why, I just started thinking that way, and one thing led to another, and I started doing stuff on canvas. And literally one day, the first canvas I ever sold, I was painting at my grandmother's house on a piece of wood, just a 4x8 in the front of her house, and I was just painting it, and this guy drove by and stopped, and he ran up to me and he goes, oh, this is cool, if I give you $100, can you do it on a canvas for me? And I was like, you're gonna give me $100 to do this? He's like, yeah. All right. So he brought me a canvas, gave me $100, and the next day I had a painting for him. That was the first painting I ever sold. And so again, that was another, like, you know, light bulb went off in my head. Like, if this guy's paying $100 and he doesn't even know me, someone else might pay $200, someone else might pay $300, you know. And again, I was like 17, so it was all stupid thinking in one respect, but in another respect, none of my friends were thinking that way. And so I would tell them, like, hey, you know what, let's do this show and let's put canvases in there and blah, blah. And they were like, no, we can't do canvases. And so eventually I started doing them, and I started getting into shows, or like being invited to, not even real shows. I mean, you know, it'd be like a club, and I'd put a piece in there, or it would be like sometimes a college seminar was happening, and they would let me display some pieces at community college or whatever. So it was like things like that that I would get involved with, and I would keep trying to tell my friends to get involved and do canvas work, and they just, you know, they were always hesitant. Well, you know, I ended up going to college and getting my degree because I figured if I had a degree, that's going to set me apart from all these other graffiti artists, because a lot of them at the time didn't have degrees and didn't go to fine art school. So I figured, well, at least that's another reason that I can be able to sell my work as opposed to this other guy, because I have a degree. So that's why I went to school. So when I got out, I had my degree, and I still wasn't getting work. So I was like, and galleries were like, no, we don't sell graffiti in galleries. You can't sell graffiti in galleries. It's not viable. So I was getting shut down everywhere. And all my first exhibits in the 90s, in the early 90s, were all alternative spaces. So it was places that had a free warehouse for us to use for a month, or a shop that wasn't open yet that they let us use, whatever. It was always like that. Because when we went to an established gallery, they were like, nope, you can't show here. So eventually I got tired of it. And in 2002 is when I opened up my gallery, Crew West. And that's why I opened it, because it was kind of like, well, you know, aside from selling paint, which was the number one reason why I opened the shop, because I wanted to make money, and selling paint felt like no one else was doing it, so I was going to do it. But obviously I had all these friends who were artists who had incredible artwork, and they couldn't sell anywhere because none of the galleries would push their stuff. So I started pushing it, you know. And again, when I opened up the gallery in 2002, I mean, that's only 14 years ago.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
It doesn't seem that long ago, but no one was doing that. We were the first graffiti gallery in LA, like a full-time graffiti gallery. And you think about it now it's in museums, now it's everywhere. Now it's like, you know, of course there's graffiti in galleries now, right?
Crews like have
You're
their
not
own
in contemporary
gallery
if you don't have
seven-letter
it.
guys,
with
Right,
you.
right.
So like big here in LA.
Yeah, and so like when we did it, it was like, are you crazy? You know, we had cops coming into our gallery every day, harassing our you know, our clients and customers. You know, it was just crazy because no one had ever thought to do
Cops
something
were
like
coming
that.
into your.
Oh yeah. They would pull up in the middle. We would have an opening, and they would stop in the middle of the street, take their cameras out, and just start photographing everyone that's in or outside. Yeah, just like that. And then and then we were open like, you know, 6 days a week, and so little kids on the way home from school would stop to check out the artwork or buy this or buy that. We always carded because we knew that like we were a target. And these kids would come back the next day and say, hey, you know, man, after I left your gallery, the cops pulled me over and they searched my backpack. They were looking for spray paint and caps.
Wow.
They said that they were asking us all these questions, and we were telling them, we know our rights. You can't look at our backpack. You know, right?
That's right. They went back to you and told you.
Yeah, and so they will come back and tell us, like, the cops are, when we, after school, the cops are around the corner waiting for us to walk by. They just see people come out of our shop, and because they were trying to shut us down. And they never were able to because we were doing everything, you know, on the up and up. Which is another reason why I stopped doing illegal graffiti, because I knew that I was going to become a target once I came out and just said, like, hey, you know, I'll talk to the LA Times and I'll talk to this person and do press and do exhibits and sell artwork. I knew I'd be a target, and sure, we definitely was a target. But if I would have had any kind of criminal background, if I would have been caught with weed in my pocket, any stupid thing, my whole career would have been over. They would have made an example out of me. They would have closed my business down. And instead, we were around for 10 years, you know? And so, that's why I say I have a little different angle than a lot of artists, because for some reason, I always saw that there was, I knew that somehow we could make a living as artists, you know? That our work was important. And the other thing was that I didn't try just to promote myself. It wasn't the ManOne gallery. It was Crew West gallery, you know, and it was about crew on the West Coast. And I was trying to uplift the whole movement and uplift graffiti artists in general, because I figured there's so many talented artists that kind of feel like, you know, if any of these guys become successful, it's going to raise the bar for everyone,
Sure.
you know. And obviously, if it's my gallery, then I'll get the benefits of that. I'm not worried about that. A lot of these artists are very selfish, just in general, just artists in general are very selfish, and want to do everything for themselves. And sometimes it works, and sometimes artists are able to promote themselves and get themselves really high, or whatever. But I was not about that. I was, you know, I had a crew, I had people that I respected. You know, I was a fan of graffiti before I was a graffiti artist. So I always looked at it that way, you know. So to me, like, elevating the whole art form was more important than just me getting a paycheck, you know. And so obviously, since I closed the gallery 3 years ago, you know, all those collectors, they used to come to my gallery, all those people that, you know, I created that market in LA, you know, and that market, they still, you know, I still have, you know, 9,000 people on my email list, you know, I still have hundreds of collectors in my database, you know, and so, you know, and it came from 10 years of hard work of trying to uplift, you know, the whole movement and stuff, and now I'm taking it to a different direction, but, you know, as far as myself, and now you know, I think Crew West was branded well, and we're doing stuff with that, and now I've been working more on my ManOne brand and what that's about, you know, which is slightly different. But yeah, I think, you know, that's always been something that I, for whatever reason, had that business sense since early on, and luckily I've been able to transform it into what I'm doing now, you know. So that's you know, that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah. Do you how do you manage your brand? Like what, and is it successful, or what do you think you need to help with or change in your market, or not in your market, but within your brand? Like how you exhibit your brand to the world, or put it, you know, into the public realm? Do you need, like, what are your challenges? How do you go about that?
Um, my challenge is just like any other artist is money, but ultimately I want to travel more and paint in different cities. I feel.
I'm talking about specifically to your brand,
Oh, okay.
like within your market, because you were talking about your market earlier.
Right.
So how do you? You're talking about these masks and these murals. Like your brand is this mask and this mural, right?
Mhm.
I mean, am I wrong? Because if I'm wrong, tell me.
No, you're right.
Or I mean,
And,
what is your brand? Can you describe your brand? How's that?
If I was to describe it, I would describe it kind of like the way hip hop music is. Hip hop originated from like sampling, R&B groups from the 70s and mixed it up and made it kind of like a new brand of new genre, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately it's a hybrid of that music. So the way I describe mine is just kind of like sampling visually from like the indigenous, Aztec, Mayan, my heritage, and mixing it up into my own style with, adding like some graffiti, and I always try to transcend cultures and make it like futuristic as well.
Do you have any sort of like process of how you get your brand into the world?
I mainly with street murals, just wanting to get, I mean, if it's out in public to be seen, it's pretty much, marketing. You're pretty much showing it, say, hey, this is what I did, I came out here, and it's more kind of like in your face. So taking that whole tool, that whole idea of using graffiti in a sense where you could even force it, visually on somebody in the public, because, like when people go in a restroom and there's a sticker and, it's you, it's your identity, you know what I mean? So that's the whole goal, to just get it out there more.
Do you think that it's the public's responsibility or your responsibility to do that?
It's mainly mine. I mean, considering, if you have the street smarts of a graffiti writer, that's the objective, to just get out there and be seen.
And you, Jewel?
As in like social media, anything like web-based or anything like that. And I think that's probably been pretty apparent for like a good at least 10, 15 years. I mean, but especially with like the rise of like Facebook and Instagram, pretty much like, I know that platform itself has connected me with a lot of, not even just people that are fans or collectors that have bought work, but also other artists who I never would have thought that I would have connected with. So I kind of strive hard to like make sure to keep a presence in, social media, as well as like in real time as well. Like the Skis is saying with like, I think that it is kind of important to, like there's a perfect examples, like my old man would be like, man, Paul, I saw your name on a stop sign and that's illegal, you shouldn't do that, and like, I've been in trouble before, but I'm like, Pa, you don't understand, like if I don't write on that stop sign, then they ain't gonna want to buy the shirt and wear it if you're tagging on there, So I'm just like, in a simple way, I'm like, I gotta, in a way, continue and push. You can't fall off, basically. It's gotta stay fresh and it's gotta be evolving, and it's got, especially in this game where like, you could be painting and then like all of a sudden a kid who just starts painting in like 2-3 years picks it up and it's like really good and it's so I feel like you definitely have to be like pushing it and pushing your talent, pushing your skill, as well as like pushing it to the people, It's our responsibility to, I feel like, to make, or at least my responsibility to make it available.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just an artist, you're a promoter.
Yeah.
You have to be your own promoter, your own negotiator, your own manager, everything.
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think with like graffiti artists, for many years before social media game, if you ever saw like you would see a burner by whoever, right? Scene or Vulcan or anyone, like you knew who that guy was, even if you couldn't read the letters. You know, if it was a wild style, you couldn't read it. You knew who did it, right? Because that's their brand. Like that's you. Graffiti artists have always been about that. Our style is our brand, you know, and that's how I think. How come it's easier for a lot of artists to now that social media is, you know, such a prevalent thing. I think it's easier for those artists to understand who they are and what their brand's about. It's easier for them to market, it's easier for them to promote, it's easier for them to push, get followers, because it's kind of inherent in their work and they understand, you know, how to put it out there, how to keep pushing it, how to, you know, all that. And a lot of artists who are not graffiti artists or street artists, I see a lot of artists, they get stuck or they don't get it, or they're having trouble trying to wrap their heads around what is my brand and this and that, whatever. But I think to graffiti artists, it's almost like, you know, second nature. Even artists who don't know what a brand means are out there branding themselves
Right. Well,
in a really
currently-
smart way, you know, because they're just, that's, you know, when you tag your name in a certain style, you know, it's like the Coca-Cola, you know, script, you know, it becomes known and that's it. And so, but it's those artists who like understand all that and then are able to really push it, you know, having that as their background, but also understand, you know, how to influence through their work that are getting the most, you know, play or whatever, you know. And
Well, I think that's what I'm curious to kind of unfold is like, how can we become more successful by asking these questions? Like,
Yeah.
really, what does work,
right.
right?
Right.
My issue with branding, there's two things. One, I want to say is branding for me has been really difficult, particularly with social media, because like I want to share happenings of my everyday.
Right.
But how appropriate is that as an artist?
Right.
If should 100% of my social media just be about my art? Because some artists do that.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
is it appropriate for my life to intermingle with my art practice? How appropriate is it?
Right.
Should I be cautious about that?
Right.
How does that change my work?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think those are valid questions, and I think also in that question is well, what kind of brand are you? You know.
That was going to be the second thing I was going to
Right.
say is like, am I considering brands like Patagonia?
Mhm.
Because this is what I come from, a communications like
Right.
media theory,
Yeah.
not necessarily advertising, but you know,
Yeah.
changing behavior and influencing behavior.
Right.
So for me, it's like when I think of Patagonia, I think of like sustainability. Like I think of like a whole mission, right? When I think of street art,
Yeah.
street art is very one-dimensional. It is what it is.
Right.
What you see is what you get. So it kind of contradicts in a way for me.
Yeah.
Like I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, well, I think it's different for each artist. I mean,
Yeah.
there are. I mean, sometimes you go on someone's Instagram account, right? And you'll see, and Instagram is just the best way to view things now for artists. That's why I'm using it as an example. But you'll go to their page and you'll just see like image after image after image of like just their piece shot the same way. You know, it's just like
Yeah. It's a gallery.
it's like a
It's like a
gallery of just their work,
portfolio.
right?
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't do it that way, you know? Like, I like to show the jobs I'm doing beforehand, afterwards, the people I'm meeting, you know, sometimes my family, sometimes, you know, because to me, my brand's about that. My brand's about being real, being authentic. It's not being about one-dimensional. I don't just want to be the guy that just paints this on the wall, right? I want to be like more than that, you know? I have commentary that I want to make. I have things that I want to say. So my brand is different than someone else's, you know. But you know, I think as long as you understand that we're living in a world where people are looking at you like that way, and then you can decide, okay, you know, how to shape, because you know you can mold and shape how people perceive you, you know, because of social media.
Sure.
So that's, you know, that's a whole other thing, but yeah, it's an interesting thing that's going on.
It's really difficult. Especially now I'm out of school. I'm thinking like, Anyway, is there anything else you guys want to talk about market? Like, I know ManOne's doing some really interesting stuff right now. If you want to talk to them about like what your next endeavor is with trademarking.
Oh, with the art licensing, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, actually, my partner's on his way over here dropping off some artwork, so
Oh, that's fine.
he'd be the
go-to guy for that.
the go-to guy on that. But yeah, I was telling him like
Don't worry about it. She'll be fine.
after I closed the gallery, we started Crew Studio, and so Crew Studio is more of we started as an agency to represent artists and do other projects than just art shows, And now we did a whole thing where now we're doing art licensing, so we're representing artists and being able to promote them to people who want to license artwork, And what I mean by that is like, obviously people are doing like now the iPhone cases and shirts and on-demand prints and all that stuff, and that's cool too. But we're talking more about like when like a corporation wants to do like a whole series of a product, like a cologne, let's say, they want to do a whole series of colognes with this artist work on it and do a whole campaign around it, while they have to license that artwork, and we're becoming that voice for graffiti and street art in that realm of licensing, because right now there isn't anyone that's doing that. There's, when someone wants to license a product, they have to find the artist somehow. And a lot of times there's just no way that they can get a hold of a graffiti artist or a street artist or whatever. So we're kind of bringing that to the table and saying like, hey, we have lists of artists that we're working with, and our list is always growing, and then obviously being able to do that. So we just started it like a year ago, and
That's awesome.
we just had a couple of deals that we've already made with certain companies, but this is something we're expanding, and as we grow, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, to me, it's like, what's the next thing? Like the galleries, that was great. I ran it for 10 years, and at the end, it was like it was so saturated the market, because like we went from being the only graffiti gallery to now like everybody and their mother is showing a street artist, or every gallery in LA represents at least one street artist or graffiti artist, because now it's like the thing, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, that's cool. We did that. Now what else can we do, and what's untapped, So we're doing our licensing.
I think that's good too, because of the fact of like my good thing is like, so my girlfriend right now is in law school, so she's been like learning all that and like kind of educating me, because there's a lot of like younger people, and I'm even talking like even younger kids than me that are in the art game, but like they have no knowledge when it comes to that.
Right.
So what happens? We just straight get ripped off.
Yeah.
Like I've had it happen straight to me. Like I did a thing for Sprite one time. That's big. That should be big money,
Should be, yeah.
Did I get paid big money? No, and I did a big ass job for them and bent over backwards for them and made it happen, you know. But at that time, I was just like, oh damn, like Sprite, LeBron James. Oh, this is big publicity.
Right.
I'm down. I'll do it. Let me make it happen for you, and not really thinking about that. And like, where like if I would have been in the situation where like even now that I have my girlfriend, I have other people that are like, that know that type of stuff that I could go to, then.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those projects like you're talking about back then or whatever, like people weren't really making those deals.
Right.
So we were like, when you got a call from Sprite, it's probably the first time Sprite ever called you,
Right.
It's probably the first time Sprite ever worked with a graffiti artist or something. And so, I went through a lot of things like that where, I dealt with all these huge companies, and
It's intimidating.
it's intimidating, and then also what I've started realizing is over time is just the bigger the company, the less they want to pay.
Exactly.
I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, and they just don't want to pay. Now, it doesn't mean they won't.
Right.
It just means they don't want
They
to.
don't want to.
But if you come at them in the right way with the right people at your side, then it becomes a whole other conversation,
Exactly.
But you have to know people who can speak their language, And that's usually the issue, is artists don't speak that language.
Yeah.
And we just like, we'll do it,